Stories bring lessons, laughter, unforgettable experiences, and memories that far outlive the storytellers themselves. Great stories happen to those who can tell them. This is the Jackin Around podcast, hosted by two-time Academy of Country Music Award winner and master storyteller, Jack Ingram. And now to introduce today's guest, here is podcast producer, Matt PT2.
Thank you, Roddy Yates. Welcome to part 2 of episode 6 with legendary singer-songwriter and author Ray Wylie Hubbard. During part 2, Ray visits with Jack about the relationships he's formed over just the past 10 years, including with Ringo star Joe Walsh and Eric Church. Ray also visits about his wonderful wife, Judy, and his next project, which is the follow-up to his latest release titled Co-Starring. Before we begin, some quick housekeeping notes. Provided below in the description are Jack and Ray's bios, links to connect on social media, and links to listen on your favorite audio platform, including Apple and Google Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify, and a link to jackinaroundpodcast.com where you can access the entire podcast catalog. Most importantly, if you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, share this podcast, and comment below. Next week, the week of May the 3rd, Jack, Miranda Lambert, and John Randall will be busy getting ready for the May 7th release of the Marfa tape. So we'll be taking a short 2-week break. Stay tuned to episode 7 to be released the week of May 17th. So here is part 1 of episode 6. Enjoy.
I know we touched on it earlier, but the amount of people that have come into your life and stayed there is pretty amazing.
It really
Ringo,
is. Yeah. And
get to hang out with a Beatle, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's this whole strange story too. I mean, I guess almost 10 years ago or something, somebody come up and said, Ringo's talking about you on his website. And so I go to his website. He says, here's what I've been listening to. George Martin sent me some mono tapes of the Beatles session we did there. And and then he said, Dylan has a new record. I like that. And says, fella in Texas, Ray Wylie Hubbard, Snake Farm. Woo, I like it. And so I went, wow, that's strange because I'd never met him or anything. So Rick Richards and I, the drummer, we were doing a duo thing, kind of like that Tony Joe, just guitar and drums. And so we were up playing Santa Monica, McCabe's. And this guy comes up and said, my name's Brent Carpenter. And he said, I'd do the videos for Ringo Starr. And I said, I burned Snake Farm for him and gave it to him. And I said, you didn't even buy him a copy? You burned it? I said, God, you're cheap.
Yeah.
And he said, well, that's how he got it. I said, oh, man. He said, Ringo's playing the Greek Theater tomorrow night.
How much would you pay to hang out with Ringo?
Yeah.
Like, all right, this is for the CD.
Yeah, it was, And so he said, Ringo's playing the Greek Theater tomorrow night and wants to come out and wants to meet you. So Rick, he gave us a parking deal. We pulled right up there because Brent was filming Ringo Starr live at the Greek Theater, video thing. So we go out there and meet Brent, and he takes us back there, and he goes, Ringo, this is Ray Wylie Hubbard here. And he goes, oh, yes. He goes, where's your band? I said, oh, this is Rick Richards. It's just the two of us. He's my drummer. He goes, you just travel with the drummer? And I go, yeah. And he goes, so he starts introducing me to all these like movie stars. He said, it's Ray Wylie Hubbard from Texas. He's brilliant. He travels with the drummer. Doesn't travel with a bass player, and he, doesn't travel with a guitar. He travels with. He's brilliant, It was just a thing,
Yeah.
So then he says, "Come out and sing Help with My Friends for my encore." And I said, "Oh, So we go back and we're in the video truck watching the show because Brent's doing it. So anyhow, we're just kind of watching everything for about an hour or so, and all of a sudden Brent goes, "Oh, time for you to go." And I go, "Well, hey man, thank you so much. We had a great time." He goes, "No, it's time for you to go on stage."
Right.
I went, really? And he said, yeah, he wouldn't have meant it if he didn't ask. He doesn't, if he says something, he means it. So I went out there and I'm kind of standing back there with these guys. He runs off and he says, and then they come back out and I go back out and I'm singing on Gary White's, Mike Dreamweaver guy, right? And all of a sudden this guy looks at me and I go, Ringo said I could. Ringo said it, because we're singing. And so after it was over, it was just really, really
Ringo
nice.
said it was okay.
Yeah, Ringo said it was okay. I'm singing on his mic, And so we just kind of hit it off. You got a minute for another quick little story?
Yeah,
how
of
weird
course.
this gets? So about 3 months later, I get this phone call. And he goes, and I go, hello, and goes, Ray, this is Joe Walsh. I'm in Boston. playing with my band up here, these Eagle Boys, and on the song Snake Farm, I know that's a Gretsch Duo Jet you're playing, but what kind of amp and what kind of pedals are you using? And
Wow.
so I go, well, it's an old Bell and Howell amp that this guy Tony Noble's made for me, and I got one pedal. It's called a Sex Drive by Alan Durham there in Austin. I said, that's all I use. And he said, that's it? And I go, yeah. And he goes, okay, thank you. And so I'm going with Rick. And Rick goes, what was that? And I said, Joe Walsh, So then, about 3 months later, I get this phone call. Says, Ray, this is Smokey. I'm Joe Walsh's personal assistant, liaison, bodyguard. And Marjorie Box says I can't come back to California till I get you and Joe together because he plays that damn Snake Farm song all the time. So the Eagles are playing in Dallas. We want you to come up. We got your room at the Four Seasons. So I go up there and meet Joe, and we're getting ready to go in this restaurant, right? And so this guy goes, oh, I'm sorry, sir. He goes to Joe, said, you can't come in a T-shirt. He goes, oh, okay. So he goes around at the golf shop, goes in, buys a shirt, takes his other T-shirt off, puts it on, and we walk in, And so we have dinner that night. So the next night we go to the concert, and he said, come on, let's go. So we get in this Escalade, and it's the first time in my life, Jack, I've ever had motorcycle policemen in front of the car.
Yeah.
I mean, we just...
Dreams do come true.
Oh, man. So, it was really cool because I get there and the Eagles come out and they do their sound check. They come out and do Seven Bridges Road, and I'm the only one there except with the sound guy. And so the next day we're leaving. They're getting ready to leave. Joe's getting ready to go. And I said, here, man, I got something for you. I said, here's the amp I used on Snake Farm. He said, oh, you can't give me that. And I said, well, I can too, because it's probably going to catch fire. Don't leave it alone in a room because it's got old cars. So anyhow, this is where it starts getting really strange. About 3 months later, Judy's opening the mail in the other room, and all of a sudden she goes, God damn it. I go, what's the matter? She says, I got to lose 15 pounds by February. And I go, what? She says, we've been invited to Joe Walsh and Marjorie Bach's wedding. We have this wedding invitation, please, So with that, I didn't have Joe's number at the time, but I had Smokey's number. So I called Smokey and I said, Smokey, I got a wedding invitation. He said, hang on a minute. So he puts Joe on the phone and I go, Joe, I got a wedding invitation from him. He said, yeah. I said, after my divorce, I was staying in Ringo's guest house and Ringo came out and he said, there's this guy in Texas you need to hear. So Ringo's playing Snake Farm for me on his stereo. All of a sudden, Barbara Bach comes in, the first Bond girl, with her sister, Marjorie Bach. Marjorie starts dancing. We make eye contact. We fall in love. Snake Farm's our song. We were at the wedding. Forrest Gump, right?
Seriously, what's up, Forrest? Run, Forrest, run.
Yeah, I mean, and so we go out there, and it was just, they had a big party there at the Edison, and a big, had girls on ropes twirling around, and stuff, and Robert Randolph was playing and the band. And so Joe comes up and said, we're going to get up and do Snake Farm here in a little bit. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, oh, I'll find a bass player. And, they're not a drummer. They're like the Foo Fighter guy was there. And I mean, it was, So anyhow, everybody's doing that. And all of a sudden about an hour later, Joe comes up and says, you know what? I don't think I want to play tonight. I don't really like a lot of these people. so I owe you Snake Farm. We'll play Snake Farm sometime in the future. So, so then we went the next day to the reception at the Beverly Hills Hotel, which there's the Polo Lounge, which is the Big Star Lounge. Right. But then there's the lounge behind that. That's
the real.
Yeah. I mean, Irving Azoff was there, Steven Steele. I mean, it was just, and we're just sitting at a table with, Ringo and Barbara there, and they were just really nice and Joe's doing his, and it was just, and that's just, like I say, man, it's just I'm pretty amazed and very grateful that.
It's funny when you said Forrest Gump earlier. I was like, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But after talking to you, it's like, no shit, man. Like,
yeah, how weird is that?
I mean, how weird is it? What does that feel like when somebody tells you that Ringo Starr was playing your song for Joe?
Yeah.
Like all that whole. Like, talk about floating.
Yeah.
And it's not because of your ego. It's because
it
just can't even.
Yeah.
The stars, you would never even think to align them that way.
I know it. I'm like I say, I'm very grateful. You know, like I say, I've feel very fortunate, and just and just have all this stuff happen. You know, I mean, like, because I've always been kind of over here. You know, it's and I guess somehow happened. It was like that Eric Church thing. You want to hear another little story here?
Yeah, of course.
So anyhow, I'm just Judy and I are watching Criminal Minds, right? So anyhow, I get this text, and I want to say it was Ronnie Dunn, but I'm not sure because I'd met Ronnie before, but anyhow, so we get this text. It says Eric Church just name dropped you at the CMA Awards in a song. So I go, huh? So I go, Judy, Eric Church just is singing about me on another channel here, and she goes, well, we're not changing this channel till Spencer finds the serial killer. So we got to watch, and so then it's over. But the next day, I go to YouTube, and there's Eric Church singing this song, Mr. Misunderstood, where he mentions Elvis Costello, Wylie Hubbard, and Jeff Tweedy. And I go, wow, how weird is that? And so then a couple of months later, Judy calls me up and said, Eric Church called. He wants you to come to Dallas and sing Screw You, We're From Texas at the American Airlines things with him. So I said, okay. So Judy and I drove up there, and we meet Eric and his band at the deal, and he comes up, and he's just really nice guy. He said, man, thank you so much for doing this. And he said, I just think it'll be really good to have you come out and do Screw You, We're From Texas here in Dallas.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff. So anyhow, I said, how'd I end up in that song? He said, we were writing the song, and over on our turntable was Elvis Costello, you, and Jeff Tweedy, and we said, let's write some truth to it. So I thought, well, that was pretty cool, and it was just really nice. So then he calls me up. He said, hey, man, I want to write this song called Desperate Man with you. So I'm just being a smartass, right? So I go, yeah, well, one time I was so desperate, I went to a fortune teller to get my future read, and she said I didn't have one. Just a smartass. And he says, okay, that'll be the last verse.
I love it.
And so anyhow, I went up there, and Eric, and we flew up to Nashville. He paid for it, and we went out to this little cabin out there, and we wrote Desperate. He said, I got this groove, so we wrote Desperate Man and everything. And he said, I really like this. I think I'm going to title my album Desperate Move. I'm going to cut it tomorrow, Desperate Man. So then he calls me up, but he said, we're doing a video. And in the video, it's like Blow or something, where it's like I'm stealing my masters from my record label, and it's going to be like an old dope thing where we drop it out in the swamp and people get it and run it around. And I go, oh, that's cool. And he said, everybody said, we need a 70s drug dealer. And everybody said, well, get Ray Wylie. And so I went up there, and
good to know what people think of you.
Yeah, I know.
We need a 70s drug dealer. I'm the perfect guy.
Yeah. And so, so I went up there, and I got a 3-piece denim suit and a gold chain and a big old shirt with collars, and did the deal of just, sniffling the pellets that they make vinyl out of. And
right.
And it was just really nice. And then, so then, CSAC calls me, and they say, hey, we're having a big CSAC award. We want to give you an award for Desperate Man. And I said, okay, just send it to me. They go, no, we want you to come up here. And I go, no, man, I hate those things. I'm not very good at it. And, he said, no, please come up. And I said, nah. So Judy said, yeah, let's go do it.
Right.
So he said, do you think you could do Desperate Man? And I said, I've never done it. I said, and they said, just you and a guitar? And I said, yeah, I don't really want to, but I will. So anyhow, we go up there, and all of a sudden it's Nashville style. I mean, yeah. It's a red carpet. I mean, I'm standing in it, and I'm going, oh man, it was just so anyhow, I get up there and I do Desperate Man, and I, finish Desperate Man, and all of a sudden somebody says, this guy, I love this guy, and I look over, and Eric Church is there giving me my award. And I'm just in there, and you talk about this audience who had no idea who I was before this. Nobody knew me, and all of a sudden Eric comes out, and everybody, he gets their attention.
Yeah.
And so he gave me a really gracious introduction, and he'd been there. They'd been hiding him because I'd walk here and he'd walk behind me and all that stuff. And then of course at the Texas Heritage thing, he came down for that. So that was it's quite Forrest Gump, man.
That really is fairly amazing.
It is. It just happens, you know.
It's almost like you fall right where the apple. You walk right where the apple falls.
Well, it's a thing too of trying somehow in there, you know, try not to force it, you know. I just gotta instead of for a long time, you know, I was just swimming upstream, you know, just trying to, you know, and then all of a sudden one day I just went, oh, I'll turn around, just float downstream with it and not fight it or try to control it. And man, you know, I feel very fortunate.
It's funny you say that because that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I'm just floating.
Really listening to your records, being with you, it feels like you go, oh, I'll just turn around and float that other way.
I'm gonna learn finger picking pattern. Okay, da 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 da. You know, oh okay, got snake farm. You know, Mother Blues, all this stuff.
Screw You Were From Texas, another albatross, or is it?
Well, I don't sing it north of the Red River. You know, it's you know, and it's kind of one of those things where it really sells a lot of T-shirts. So I'm okay with it.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. That's all this time you talked to me about being a sincere songwriter. And
yeah.
I just
integrity.
Yeah. A lot of integrity when I.
Yeah, I love that song. Sells a lot of T-shirts.
You know, I said, I need to sell some T-shirts. I bet if Screw You Were From Texas, yeah, okay, I need to write a song then.
Wouldn't it be great if it was that easy?
It would be, wouldn't it?
Bumper sticker songs. When do you write? Like when? Do you have a set time, or do you just wait until something hits you?
It's the thing, you know, as you now know, is songwriting's like inspiration plus craft. When you get that, aha, that'd be a good idea for a song. You never know where that's going to come from. You know, you just never know. I mean, you know, at Snake Farm in New Brunswick, I've driven by it probably 10,000 times from Austin to San Antonio and back. And one day I drove by and I went, ooh, God, it just sounds nasty. And I went, it's a reptile. And then Snake Farm, it just sounds nasty. Well, pretty much is. It's a snake. And so I had that.
Right.
And that was like the inspiration. I could have just blown it off, but then I kept singing that. And I said, well, what am I going to do with it? And then the craft, I'll make it a love song. You know, there's a guy who doesn't like snakes, but he loves a woman who works there. What kind of woman would work there? Well, she'd have a tattoo. She'd drink malt liquor. She'd like the alarm. She'd dance like
that's my favorite line in the song.
Yeah.
she likes the alarm.
It rhymed,
too.
too.
Called The Alarm.
Yeah, I met Mike Peters in Austin, man, and he said, he's all over the world. People come up and say, hey, there's this guy in Texas who wrote, you know. But you know, the songwriting thing is the inspiration and the craft, you know. And a lot of times the craft will trigger the inspiration. If you get a progression or a groove or something like that, and so it works both ways.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can't ever second guess it, you know, because if I had just went, throw it away, I wouldn't have got this tattoo.
Wouldn't have got any of them. Man, it must be nice. It seems like you live with your biggest fan.
Oh, Judy?
Judy.
Well,
she's good to you.
Yeah, we really, you know, I feel very fortunate. She's a hoot, you know, and I guess we've been married 30. I should know that, shouldn't I?
You should probably we'll cut that.
Yeah, cut that. Yeah, cut Hayes in that. Yeah, no, we've been married a while. And
don't even try to ask for the date.
And yeah,
we celebrate every day like it's our anniversary.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but yeah, I mentioned this, and you know that if it wasn't for Judy, I'd probably have everything I own in a shoebox, be looking for a happy hour gig, you know, because she really came in. She learned about publishing. She learned about booking. I didn't have, like I say, I was laying at Charlie's Airport Lounge, and we met, and then she said, you know, she started figuring this stuff out, you know, with publishing and mechanicals, and she booked me and all that stuff, and so yeah, it's pretty amazed.
And she still has the zest for it, you know, like it's fun to watch her get excited about being in places and who's there, and it's really cool.
Well, it was, I mean, last night the phone rang and it was Ringo, and called him and said, "Hey, I put a double tambourine on that song that Steve Lukather was playing on. I decided to go ahead and put a tambourine on it." And I went, "Oh, okay." And Judy listening, so and it's fun. So it was that. I was Ringo, So it was like I say, she's a hoot. She's my hoot.
I bet she's a lot.
I'll tell you what, she doesn't suffer fools, that thing a lot, and she like to sing with EMI and Mother Blues, she just and we'll bleep it, and but yeah, and it's so and like I say, the thing is too is like, as like I say, the managers and all the agents and all that, so they don't really get. I walk out on stage and go, "We love you," and they're back there. Well, what do you mean? Okay, the count was 80%,
right?
And you're fighting with the promoter sometimes about the about the head count,
right?
So and she didn't like get the recognition or all that stuff, but
well, I think that's part of it. Is what I love about watching her.
Yeah,
is that. You're right. Like, we get to go out on stage and, look at me. How's that? They go, yeah, you're the best. which is why it might get a little boring to people but she seems to genuinely love music and love.
Yeah, she's very knowledgeable.
Being around it.
Oh yeah, like I say, she's brilliant. She learned about publishing. I've got all my publishing back. She did some stuff and got that I'd signed away when I was young and stupid, which is redundant in a way,
right.
Especially in the music business.
Right.
And she's been very supportive to other artists too, of kind of talking to them about publishing and trying to hold on to that and leasing your masters rather than so that you own your masters.
Right.
That's really important nowadays. So she studied a lot, and like I say, she's helped other artists too, young kids here too.
Well, so have you.
I
mean, you really seem to take other artists under your wing, or at least make an effort to be friends with young artists. I know that for a fact. I watched you do it.
Well, it's that old thing. You in order to keep it, you got to give it away. In a way, and so, I mean, like. Damned Hayes came by and I showed him this finger picking pattern. And all of a sudden, a week later, he says, "Hey, man, I took that pattern and wrote this song called Beaumont." I went, if I hadn't shown it to him, maybe I would have got that song. You know what I mean?
Right.
But no, things like that's gratifying in a way, And like, like I remember that, the thing we didn't, was it Corsicana with Gary Nunn and you and me?
Yeah.
That was a treat. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
And, I enjoy doing stuff like that, hanging out with young guys and all that.
Well, luckily, I'm at a point in my career where it's, I'm 50 years old, and taking your lead, it is great to go listen to younger guys and go, oh,
yeah,
I see what he's adding to the stew. Or,
well, it's a thing as a. Someone said, "Isn't 74 a little old to be making your first ever appearance on Austin City Limits?" And I went, "Man, didn't want to peak too soon." Feel like, you know what I mean?
I'm finally ready.
Yeah, and so same thing like the Grand Ole Opry. I didn't do that till I was 72 or so, and so it's and the thing I think that music. Somewhere up in our head, we keep a young head. I got bad knees, but I still got that fire or something about songwriting. Oh, okay, yeah, this works.
Yeah.
Or playing a gig, and so yeah.
Well, it's so obvious too. You live it. You live that excitement.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, and it keeps come back to being grateful for it. I mean, I really, there's there've been disappointments, of course, but you can't, you just can't stay there.
Right.
You can't stay in that disappointment, and so, it's like I say, we got the new record and we're almost got it mixed. I got Steve Lukather on it yesterday. I got Winona sang on it, and the thing was, I didn't have to use guilt or shame
Right.
to get these people.
Right.
I'm not above using that. I mean, I use that in a heartbeat to get, but I just say, hey man, would you sing on this? And yeah, and then and of course that's a great thing with you. You can send the files and
yeah, but it also speaks volumes about the impact that you've had on so many other artists.
Well, it's like I say, I feel very fortunate. It's the whole. I mean, well, okay, real quick, Bad Trick, right? So I wrote that. Judy and I wrote that. Actually, I got to give her credit. I mean, right. I had a real rough gig, and I came. There was a discrepancy in the head count. The sound was squealing, and everything. I came back about 3, and Judy goes, "How was the gig?" And I go, "Man, it's a rough gig." And she goes, "Well, everybody turns a bad trick every now and then." And so, I realized what I was.
Yeah.
Just got to
what she thought of you.
Yeah, what she thought of me.
Yeah.
A record label was called Bordello Records. I should have figured that out earlier
right.
on. Of what we know what I am. We just got to negotiate the price.
That's right.
And so anyhow, we wrote Bad Trick, and so I did a little demo with the Zone, just me and a guitar and a click track, and I sent it to Brent Carpenter, and I said, "Man, and he said, "Oh, let me take it to see what Ringo thinks of it." And I didn't even ask him and everything. He just said, "Hey, Bray's doing a record, and this is one of the songs on it." And so I got this text said, "Hey, be in L.A. next Tuesday at 2:00, and I'll play drums on it." So this was about 1.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I flew out there, and Brent picked me up, went to Ringo's house, and he played drums on the track, and it was just. And I said, "Wow." And he goes, "Who are you going to get to play bass?" And I said, "I don't really know." He said, "How about Don Was?" And I said, "Well, I don't know him." He said, "I'll ask him." He said, "How about who's going to guitar?" And I said, "I don't know." He said, "How about my brother-in-law? You know him." And I said, "Well, if you ask him."
Yeah.
Say, "I'll ask." He said, he's got to do whatever I say, because, I'm his
That's
brother-in-law, and his, and so because of Ringo, I got Joe and Don Was on the record, and then I called up Chris, and
was that kind of the beginning of that project?
Yeah, that was kind of the beginning, and I think I had the Blue Bonnets right around before that. I'd written a song, and so yeah, that kind of was kind of the kickoff. Then I just kind of started calling other people, and Pam Tillis. I was at the Nashville airport, man. I'm walking by, and all of a sudden I hear this, "Ray Wylie." And I turn around, and she goes, "It's Pam Tillis. I recognize the back of your head." I said, "See,
it's always been your best look."
Well, it is. It's just, there's advantages to cutting your own hair. So anyhow, she said, "I'd like to write some songs with you." And I said, "Okay." So we wrote some songs, and then it just kind of. She said, "Have you ever done the Grand Ole Opry?" And I said, "No, I never have." And so she said, "Well, let me talk to those people." Then all of a sudden, the president of the Grand Ole Opry called up and said, "We'd like you to come do the show." Wow. So I called Pam. I said, "Did you have something to do with that?" And she said, "Yeah, maybe so, but they asked you to do the Opry." And I said, "Yeah." And she says, "Well, you have to open with Snake Farm." And I said, "The Grand Ole Opry?" And she says, "Yeah, I think that would be fun." So, she came and introduced me, and she sang, and I got Larkin Poe to play with me, and came out and did Snake Farm at the Grand Ole Opry, and it was.
Yeah, did they look at you like?
Yeah, it was eye opening. Close your mouth.
At least they didn't close their eyes.
Yeah. It was a thrill, but that's how it just happened. Just like I say, just walking through the airport, and bam, there it was. And I got Pam Tillis on my record. Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, man, that's it.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, hey, man, thanks for coming. I really
appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Did we start? I come out here and see one of those little clacker things. It's like you're on.
Take 3. Wylie Hubbard, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Jack. What a treat, man.
Yeah,
Enjoyed it.
I really enjoy being your friend.
Me too. Likewise.
Seriously, man, I've never really taken into account the Forrest Gump aspect of that, of how.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Letting
it come back to you.
It is. It's like that writing songs. I said, man, I'm just going to write songs. Even if it's a goofy song like Snake Farm, I want to try to make it well written for it, and just writing and just for that moment,
It's
And,
funny. I remember hearing Snake Farm and Screw You from Texas and thinking, how not lucky, but just like what you're saying. Those are in the vein of Redneck Mother.
Yeah.
But you couldn't write Redneck Mother now.
Probably not.
Because you'd have too much to say.
Yeah, it would be I probably wouldn't,
But to grab that spirit of what that kind of song is like.
Yeah.
And to be able to put that into the craft of songwriting and have it still feel like a firecracker going off.
Well, the thing with Screw You, I put the little lines in there about our corporations are corrupt and our politicians are logos, so it's kind of not, it's got a little dig in it where it's just, it's like, the whole thing is about the music, like, screw that whole, not the Nashville scene, but just like screw you, we do what we want to do.
Right.
And even though we're, our state's kind of fucked up at times.
Well, that's what I mean, though, too, is like that song, if you played it for Governor Abbott or Rick Barry at the time, they'd love that song. It's like, it wouldn't even, it's so well written that it would just come right over there.
Here's real quick is somebody asked me, said, here you are, you've written in Conversation with the Devil about record and music executives going to hell and Nashville and all this stuff. And all of a sudden you sign with Big Machine. Don't you think that's hypocritical? And I went, oh man, it's ironic. I can just justify it.
No, that ain't hypocritical.
For the time being,
It's ironic, buddy.
Yeah.
It's true, man.
It's a big deal. You got a good deal here, man. This is great.
This is the first time we've done this out here.
It's great. It's
I love it.
It's really nice. It was just so that's it, huh? We done?
That's
You got some miniature horses? Put them right here.
Well, the guy who was who's doing some work in there has a daughter who has a horse, and he wants to he said he wanted to rent whatever, and I was like, that's worth the price of admission, man. I get to come out and talk to a horse.
Yeah, man.
You kidding? I'm in on that.
How much do you have to pay 'em?
That's right. Like, I need some
great.
friends out here.
Horse stall and everything, man.
They had 2 little Shetland ponies out here.
Yeah, it's nice.